Very good morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Brief. It's a weekend edition of the program. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma, and we've come so far, guys. Good morning.
Good morning. Why is everybody staring at me?
Well, I don't have the answer to that. Every day is a new beginning for a fresh start, to press the refresh button, as today is on your perfect morning starter. Today is the beginning, and we're helping you make sense of what the events are today from what has happened in the last 24 hours and even beyond. Welcome. I am Bukola Koka.
Well, let me just unveil myself this morning so you understand why they're staring at me. I'm supporting the Super Falcons ahead of the final tomorrow against Morocco. Mission X.
You didn't tell us the you didn't give us.
You've got white. She's got white. So there's some sort of,
We all have that T-shirt back. Yeah. We all have it.
I'm going to tell you this. I planned something else entirely. Yeah. And then the brainwave just came and I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me borrow the Super Eagles shirt because this is not for Super Falcons.
As long as the girls are the guys.
Exactly.
For all of us.
So this is us actually identifying the Super Falcons ahead of the WAFCON final tomorrow against Morocco. Mission X. Good morning. I'm Kayode Okikiolu. Let me zip this back up. I face politics.
Okay, so we face politics today. I was talking about fresh beginnings earlier on, and it seems as if the parties are pressing a refresh button as far as strategies are concerned for party reform, and of course ahead of the 2027 general elections. And so we saw yesterday the emergence of a new national chairman for the All Progressives Congress, the ruling party, and of course the new party chairman has been speaking on his resolve to unite the party and to even expand the party. Let's listen to him.
I do not take this mandate for granted. I want to accept it with gratitude and with my full heart and full mind to work together with you to build the party, knowing that all of us here are the mechanics of the party, and the party is our vehicle, and we'll fix it and move it to our destination of choice. I pledge without hesitation that I will work with everybody in the party, I'll unite the party, I'll build the party, I'll expand the party with you as the focus and the building block and the support that I will require to drive the party as needed by all of us so that we can fulfill the dream of Nigerians who have reposed their hope in the Renew Hope agenda.
Yes, the new national chairman of the All Progressives Congress and, of course, Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, Professor Nentawe Yilwatda, who comes with experience in the academia, and, of course, he talked about his experience also in the private sector. And he also spoke later on after that in an exclusive with our political editor, Shimon Kibaloye, where he was saying that, of course, he's going to be taking tough decisions. That's what Mr. President wants him to do, but he promised to combine that with inclusion and the overall interests of members of the All Progressives Congress. Well, a good outing there for the APC, but what does this all mean ahead of the general elections? What approach will Mr. Yilwatda, Professor Yilwatda, be adopting that will be different from what we have seen with the immediate past chairman of the All Progressives Congress? Guys, how are you weighing in on
Congratulations to the Prof. We've had the opportunity to interview him here when he was, I want to believe he's going to resign his position as minister.
Has to.
Yeah, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. I don't know why that ministry is always getting all this kind of casualty, but it's a good one, by the way. We've had suspensions, and then we have him now. He's going to another job responsibility. So we expect a new minister for that ministry, but congratulations to him. He's quite a humble man, looks level-headed, looks like he knows exactly what he's doing. We've had a conversation with him here. The least they can do is to wish him the very best to steer the ship of the party. As I've always said, I want the PDP, I want the APC to be very stable. I want the PDP to be very stable. I would like the ADC to be stable. I would like the Labour Party to be stable. And every other party who can put their acts together to be stable. Because the more the merrier. In democracy, we must have at all times at least the luxury of choices, or at least two choices to make a decision from, not the exclusive reserve of just one. So congratulations to them. Let's see how this plays out. The next elections are by-elections, and then after that we'll have the governorship election in Anambra. So that will prepare a lot of grounds as to the new players as far as party politics is concerned. I understand, I think the president made his own remarks as well. Let's see whether we can get a feel of what the president said yesterday at that NEC meeting.
It is not easy to navigate the storming water of economic instability. Now that the economy is stabilized, no other fear for the country except upward movement and sustained growth, I can assure you. Thousands of terrorists and bandits have been neutralized, and you could see the fact that the fear is going down, but we still have to be very, very serious, vigilant, and make sure that we put additional investment in our people, retain our people, and be accommodating and be serious about security in the country. We need to invest more. Nigerians are still complaining at grassroots. To you, the governors, you have to wet the grass more. And lead the way in delivering progressive change to Nigerians. May God bless our democracy and give us more fertile lands.
Well, a simple message to the governor. I know the president has been talking about this for a while, that now you have increased allocation in terms of FAC allocation. At least in Naira terms, it's way better than what you used to receive. So do something. I'm happy he recognizes that the grassroots hasn't felt the impact of his policies as far as the cost of goods and services is concerned. But he's talking about stability, because you can see that the dollar to the Naira, there's a bit of, is very high, but it's a bit stable. The macroeconomic data, some of them are looking good. But what is important to Nigerians is how they feel, how they experience day-to-day living, their standard of living. We've also been waiting. I don't know whether, I've not seen that data, but there's a data the government has not released, whether it's the MBS or the Ministry of Budget and National Plan, I don't know. It's called the National Living Standards Survey Report. Yeah. It gives us an idea of the quality of life of the average Nigerian beyond the touted GDP per capita, which gives investors confidence to come and put their money in our system, boots on the ground, open shop here, not just FPI. So I think there are two messages there, which he said, but every day Nigerians are complaining, and I'm happy he recognizes that that complaint hasn't stopped because things haven't happened at that level. And it's not just going to be the federal government alone, the state government as well, the local government. I saw the amount the local government are receiving. I was like, whoa. Some local government are receiving billions, not Naira, billions a month.
In
some
Naira?
Close, in Naira.
Yeah.
It clump close to $1 billion, some slightly over $1 billion, depending on the stature of that local government. So what are they doing with the money? So all of us have to hold everybody accountable, not just the president. The governors have to be held accountable, the local government have to be held accountable.
Indeed. And what does it mean to wet the grass more? Because people chuckled when the president said wet the grass. And, you know, it may just have been taken as, you know, something to laugh at. But let's speak to it. What does it mean to wet the grass? It's simple. At the basic level, you need food. One of the major challenges that people face now is buying food in the market. So what are these governors going to be doing to ensure that food is more affordable? It's as simple as that. So don't let's chuckle it off and just think, oh, it was a joke, and then we move on. No, it is not business as usual. So the governors have to start thinking, if they have not started doing that yet, first of all, do some sort of survey, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Jeffrey. But the states should gather data as well. A lot of times states will say, well, the MBS figure about unemployment is wrong about my state. Then we say, what is your figure? And they tell us, well, we're working on it. States should begin to gather data. How much is food in my state? How much is minimum wage in my state? Is the average minimum wage earner able to afford food? What is this person able to afford? Okay, if you can't afford it, then what do we need to do about food, perhaps for people at the grassroots in that sense? So I don't want the governors, because a lot of them were there and they chuckled. Do not chuckle this away. This is real business. So what are you doing about food, agriculture, security as well? Now we can talk about constitution amendments. Do they need to have more powers, more control over security, state police, and the rest? Those are the things we need to be done, not just chuckle it away. And guys, what caught a lot of people's attention was that statement made by former governor of Kano State, the leader of the NNPP, Mr. Robi Musa Kwankwaso, about what he believes the President Tinubu government is doing, favoring the South over the North. Now that sent some sort of shivers down the spine of a lot of people who were thinking, oh, is it going to align with us? Well, it doesn't look like it, but take a listen to what Mr. Kwankwaso said yesterday, and you let us know what you think.
1999 to 2003, and of course, right through to this National Assembly, we have seen a situation where our members were given the opportunity to really represent their constituents. But unfortunately, on many occasions, they were compromised. We have seen a situation whereby the rich in the country worked so hard to raise a lot of money to bribe members of the National Assembly, especially those who are representing us. And as a result of that, we now have a tilted arrangement in terms of resources sharing in the country. Many people will think that they have won. I don't believe so. Because I believe the issues that we have today in this country, especially in this part of the country, has to do with mismanagement of resources by leaders at the national level and state levels, and even at local government levels. And of course, it has to do with the little that had to be given to those concerned. Now we have...
So he said quite a number of things more about the government seeming to focus on the South over the North. He was speaking at the Kano stakeholders meeting on constitutional amendment yesterday in Kano. So that is also in the mix, guys, but there's more.
But
yes,
more importantly, I'd like to speak to, you know, the matter of wetting the grass over the distribution of appointments. Even though those who have been counting the appointments of this current administration have put the number of appointments for the North at 71 and the South at 63. And in the count of the appointments for the former administration, it was 81 favoring the North over 100. But that's insignificant. What's more important is the matter of wetting the grass at the grassroots, you know, as inferred to by Mr. President at the NEC meeting of the APC yesterday. Looking at it from the ideological perspective, if the disposition of the APC-led federal government is neoliberal, we've seen the policies and the impact on Nigerians, the increase in the pump price of petrol, and the attendant consequences, you know, over the economy. Does this now combine? How does this combine well with the, you know, social investment program at the grassroots? And I'm glad that the new national chairman spoke to it yesterday about the resolve of the party to improve those programs at the grassroots. So if that combines well with the efforts of the governors, Jeffrey talked about increase in FAC allocation earlier on. If that combines well with the efforts of the subnationals, you know, to improve the lot of the people in terms of investing more in agriculture, combining investment in human capital development well with infrastructure development, because what we see is an over-concentration on investment in infrastructure as against the real needs of the people in the education sector, in the health sector, in the agriculture sector. Perhaps we'll be looking more at improved economies at the subnationals and, you know, complementing the efforts of the APC-led federal government, but we're yet to see that, and it was a good thing that the president pointed that out yesterday at the NEC meeting. There should be more scrutiny on the gains of increased FAC allocations. We believe it's by about over 50% to the subnationals. So let's see a more prudent management of resources to face the people, favor the people at that level. All right,
there's a lot of political happenings, but we'll get straight to what we'll be doing for today, and that has to do with that NEC meeting held by the All Progressives Congress. There's a new chairman, Professor Nentawe. He has taken the reins of authority or power at the administrative level of the party. He's made promises as well. He had an exclusive with us yesterday. We'll be highlighting what the future of the APC looks like with a new leadership ahead of possible convention before the 2027 presidential or general election. That will be our first conversation for the day. And of course, besides all of that, the issue around multiplicity or multiple interpretation of court judgment using the case of suspended Senator Natasha Akpoti-Odoaha and several other cases. A gentleman in the House of Representatives had raised that concern that, look, perhaps the judiciary or the legislature should interface with the judiciary to appeal to them so that there will be greater clarity, so that when judges make decisions or orders, it's not subject to multiple interpretation by lawyers and even litigants. That, again, is our focus on the program.
Oh, yes, and we'll also be touching on diplomatic relations. The geopolitics across the globe is a very interesting one. It's unfolding really fast. There's tariff wars here and there, and then there is Nigeria, a major player in Africa. And then there are challenges we're faced with, and we seem to be getting some sort of input from time to time. So we'll be joined by the European Union ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS on the program today.
So it's a packed show. I dare say it's a bumper package for you on the program today. A lot of interesting conversations and, of course, insights from those who should know. So we'll take a moment. When we return, we'll have more for you. Stay with us.
Let's get right into the front pages for you this morning, and we'll begin with the front page of Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard newspaper, of course, as you'll expect, focuses on the NEC meeting of the APC. The PDP also held its NEC meeting, which will be walking you through the outcomes. But take a look at the Vanguard newspaper. 2027, Tinubu mocks coalition as Yewata emerges APC chair. Now, that is a name you have to learn to pronounce. All right. His name is Professor Nentawe Yewata. It's as simple as that, but, you know, practice makes perfect, right? But the explainers right there says it's coalition of confusion, asks APC governors to reduce hardship in rural areas, some of those things we have spoken about. But We're joined now by Mr. Adeni Ifetayo, public affairs analyst, to basically give us more insight into these big stories, politically speaking. Mr. Ifetayo, it's good to have you on the program yet again. The APC.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. The APC
morning.
and the
Good to be here
PDP.
once again.
Good to have you. The APC and the PDP seem to decide, maybe not actively, to have their neck on the same day, right? And somehow the APC made major decisions. The PDP also made major decisions. What do you make of the outcome of both NEC? The APC having a new chair, the PDP saying, well, we'll have our convention any battle, and there are talks around the presidency as well being zoned. Is it game on for you?
Yes. This is what I expected from beginning.
All right, I will get Mr. Adeni Ifetayo back. Some of the virtual platforms sometimes just have a mind of their own. But Mr. Ifetayo, please go ahead. Okay, we understand that he's been knocked out, but not to worry, I will get him back. But that's a big story on the front page of the Vanguard. You also see PDP zones presidency to South. So the Vanguard seems to have a scoop on that one. Moves convention to Ibadan. That was expressly said. But the zoning bit, Jeffrey Bukola.
You know, I'm just excited about the coming days. This is where I love to play this game, as far as politics is concerned. So, if the PDP has now bowed to pressure, perhaps is why Atiku Abubakar had to leave, because the nuances and the body language seem to have said, gentlemen, this is as clear as crystal. You've had your time. We're not going to give this to the North anymore. So if that is your ambition, you may as well excuse us. So he has gone to the ADC. Perhaps this is why people are saying this is packaged for him. That's an argument for them. But on the other side is the fact that all of the persons in the PDP who are saying it's for justice, it's for equity, that is why we're supporting President Bola Tinubu, because the power has to stay in the South. I asked the PDP members, led by Nyesom Wike, not as if I asked Nyesom Wike, but some of his people, and I think Sheon also asked him, now that the PDP is saying they are going to zone it to the South, what now happens? So yesterday I had a conversation with a gentleman, one member of the House, where I told him, you're inconsistent in your position. You said it was justice. I now gave you an hypothetical situation. Okay, justice. What if now the PDP says, let there be a presidential candidate from the South? What would you now do? He said he will get there and look at the person and say, no, you're not consistent. It was never about South. It was about something else, in my view. Because if it's about South, no matter who is coming from the South, you will support the person, right? But now when you now say, okay, this person from the South, I don't like him, so I will support Bola Tinubu, just pack your load and join the APC. It's as simple as that.
Mr. Ifetayo, analysis being given here. What is it for you? We lost you there. Thankfully, we have you back. The connection just tripped. But please go ahead with your thoughts on this. Jeffrey has laid a background already.
Yeah, you can see it's just, that's what I was saying, I think on Monday when I joined you, that they need to make their intention. No, I want to start from PDP, which what they failed to do during the last presidential election, saying we are going to this particular region and that's where our presidential candidate will come from. So the take for me, we want to see what Minister of FCT will do now, whether we declare allegiance to PDP, since what he has been clamoring for is that the presidency should be zoned to the South. And for the NEC meeting, APC NEC meeting yesterday, the take home for me was where Mr. President encouraged the governor that they should, where the grass, reach out more to the grassroots, let them feel the impact of the governors. You know, it used to be that everything stopped at the table of Mr. President, just like Jeffrey said the other time that, even both we need to ask questions, even from our representative, from senator, the governor, the local government. I also stumble on the figure that have been released to local government. I felt that one thing that I thought Mr. President failed to mention yesterday, since they are having that meeting, look and tell all the governors, let local government allocation goes directly to them. Then you can hold them accountable that this is your bigger vision. What can they do at the grassroots level to complement what you are doing at the state level? I think the politics is just beginning to unfold. Then calling the coalition a gathering of confusionists and all of that, I don't think and that is good for the office of Mr. President. Everybody have their own ambitions. You know, they have their right to file or declare that they want to run for a particular seat. Whatever it is, I know the politics is just beginning to unfold. Let's see what who will emerge, and we know what we need to do next.
All right, let's quickly go to the Nigerian News Direct, and you know, this headline pretty much captures the essence of events that we have had to reflect on from the beginning of the week. Listen to this: we've stabilized economy, only upward growth ahead. That's ascribed to President Bola Tinubu, and there's one insight there as FIRS takes in 14.27 trillion revenue in 6 months, surpassing its earlier target. And you know, the GDP rebasing also came through earlier in the week, and you know, we've also had so many reflections on the positives when it comes to macroeconomic statistics under the current administration. But some of what has trailed or shaped this you know, these policies of the federal government is that what will the people eat? Will the people eat statistics? And I believe Mr. Rwanu also spoke to it earlier on when he said that we have we should avoid a situation where we have happy statistics and unhappy people. What is it for you, Mr. Ifetayo? Is this pointing us in the direction where the gains of the indicators, the positive indicators under the economy, will begin to come through, or there seems to be a disconnect? What is it for you?
Yeah, first and foremost, you know, the gestation of any policy might take sometimes 6 months to 1 year, whatever it is. And you know, our economy is most time is dollar-based. When I mean dollar-based, everything we import, most of our stuff and all of that. And for me, the foreign exchange, dollar to naira, have been quite stable for a few months now. So, but that is not it. If you are still having your same salary, the school fees you are paying has increased, the food item you are paying for has increased, that is inflation. Until average Nigerian people purchasing power increases, that's when I would say I'll give kudos to the Mr. President. And you talk about the FRIS, you know, Ghana 14-point-something trillion naira, you know, above their projected income. I think we should look at what has that thing be put to use, how have they channeled it, especially to make impact in the life of average Nigerians. You know, that's when we say, okay, they are doing a great job. But for now, let's hope that it continue and Nigerians, they feel the impact when it comes to purchasing power. But if their purchasing power does not increase and other things are increasing, I don't think they are still doing a great job.
Okay, so let's get to the Guardian. I like the part the Guardian is taking away from the politics and its nuances. It's talking about health. Too much of a good thing. That's the little marker up there. But a big one there is how unchecked dietary supplements turn toxic, lure many to early grave. So dietary supplements are basically, they are not drugs or cure anything. They are just there to supplement and support your diet and the things you eat. Maybe there are some element of nutrients you're missing out in your food. So those dietary supplements, some people take it literally every day and all of that. But according to these reports by the Guardian newspaper, it seemed to be that what was meant to be good may turn toxic and even send people to their early graves. What do you make of this?
Yes, you know, when they say balanced diets, these classes of food that you must eat it, and some of these pharmaceutical companies, they will come with a way, when you take this one a day, it will give you all the balanced diet that you need in a day. And so many people in searching to look healthy, even in the beauty industry, trying to do transplant and all of that. But for me, just like they said, too much of a good thing that can lead people to their early grave, and we just need to be considerate in whatever thing that we are taking in, and government, they are not looking at it at all because it's a supplement. They are not talking about it. If you are to be some hard drugs, that's when they will say they go to these markets, you know, to raid the market of all these hard substance and all of that. I think it's a good one from the part of guidance to make us to see that this thing that I think is giving you, to give you balanced diet, if you take it too much, there's a caution on it. I think they can still go for that. I don't know, I've not read the inside story, whether the statistic is there. In the last 1 year, people have died from, you know, taking so much of these as a result of maybe from World Health Organization or from our local association of doctors, or whatever it is, so that we know the numbers and government can do something about it, you know, orientate people, talk more about it, organize special forum, because, you know, our government is just funny that if something did not affect them, they won't say anything. I stand to, because just like what happened to Kwankwa Soda, because he had to travel by road, that was how he witnessed that this road has gotten so bad. So if this thing is affecting our people, I think government should stand up and reorientate Nigeria and even talk to those pharmaceutical companies.
Big questions raised there about just how government is really in touch with the people. So we'll see how this is responded to. But Mr. Fatai, we have to thank you. The connection almost robbed us of this very important contribution.
Yes,
thank you so much for joining us as always. It's a pleasure. Well, we'll take a quick break now, and when we return, we'll turn our attention to the ruling All Progressives Congress APC. It is making some interesting moves. What is the thinking behind this? How is this going to impact the build-up to 2027? Well, we'll be joined by the head of the official think tank and intellectual resource center of the All Progressives Congress APC. That's in a moment. Please stay with us. All right, a lot of things happened yesterday. The APC had its NEC meeting where the national chairman emerged, Professor Nentawe Yilwata. But to put this in proper context, the PDP also had its own NEC meeting and some decisions were made. First, having its national convention later in the year in Ibadan. Then talks about zoning the presidency. So it's almost like each party is spying at the other to see what is this one doing, how can we outdo the other and ensure that we're not on the back foot. But take a listen to some of the resolutions from PDP's NEC meeting yesterday, and we'll come to speak to the APC think tank.
The elective National Convention to elect the next set of national officers of our party will hold on Saturday, 15th to Sunday, 16th November 2025 in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. Consequently, NEC directed the national chairman, His Excellency Ambassador Ilia Damagum, and the national secretary, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, to officially write to inform the Independent National Electoral Commission of the time, venue, and agenda of the elective National Convention in accordance with the requirement of Section 82, Subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2022 and Part 2, Sub 12 of the Regulations and Guidelines for Political Parties 2022. Accordingly, NEC approved the membership composition of the National Convention Committee as well as the membership composition of the National Convention Zoning Committee to ensure a successful, transparent, and credible elective National Convention.
So there you have the spokesperson of the PDP. They've been quiet, particularly on the resignation of Mr. Atiku Abubakar and all of, but they've come out to speak now in full force. So it looks like we know where the PDP is headed, at least up until November. But what about the APC? Well, Jeffrey.
All right, let's bring in the APC into the conversation. We are being joined by Mr. Lanre Adebayo. He's the Director General of the Progressive Institute, joining us from our Abuja studio. Mr. Adebayo, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, first off. That will be in order. There's a new leadership, or a new chairman, I should say, of the All Progressives Congress, and this has set the tone, perhaps, for the 2027 presidential or general election. Is that how we want to interpret this, or is there more to it?
It is the continuation of the consistent pattern of progressive engagement with the Nigerian people. The election by unanimous votes of members of the NEC, of the new chairman, the national chairman, underscores the commitment of the APC and its leadership to sustain its progressive policies and ideology. It is what I could call part of the effort of the president and the entire leadership to reposition the party to serve the Nigerian people. It is therefore what I would describe as a new dawn, the beginning of a serious engagement with the Nigerian people. If you examine the background of the new national chairman, a former university lecturer, a professor, someone who has been involved in RCT development for many years in the university system, former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. That tells you the direction that the party is being taken to, the direction of introducing a scientific approach to political party management, the direction of making people the center point of the APC leadership at all levels. So in a way, it is reinforcing what the president began with, that is people-focused, people's interest being the center point of the leadership of the APC.
So, on one hand, it appears one agitation is sorted, the agitation from the North Central, when it insisted that the next chairman, because they were agitating that Abdullahi Ganduje shouldn't have been in the first place, given the fact that Mr. Abdullahi Adamu was there before him, so naturally should have gone back to the North Central. Now it's gone back to the North Central, but there are other layers of agitation. Is the APC also looking at those agitations? I know this may be within the purview or preserve of the president. I'm talking about this vice presidential running mate of the president come 2027.
But you see, the idea of 2027, as good as it is still not something of an immediate interest. The president and the government is focused now on delivering democracy dividend to the Nigerian people. They are focused on governance. They are focused on ensuring that Nigerian people are taken care of. And of course, the fact that if you look at the preceding years of before these last 2 years, the economy was in shambles, and people talk about poverty, we're hungry and all this stuff. So the president is focused more on that. So the issue of who becomes the vice president, for me, is still too early to be discussed. We have a vice president who is working with the president, and there's a lot of understanding and harmony between them. It is just what I would call some political analysts and some of our colleagues in the media who are inputting some kind of suggestions, motives. And so for me, I think we should not really bother too much about those issues. They are still 2 years away. And I believe that when we get to that point, we'll be discussing it. So it is detracting from governance when you begin to talk about who becomes the vice president or not, when you have a team of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his vice president Shetima working together to deliver dividend of democracy to Nigerian people. I don't think we should really be discussing that at the moment.
Well, let's look at other things that we can discuss. Perhaps, first of all, we should take a second look at the profile of the new national chairman. The mandate of the national chairman, I believe, would be to expand the party, and central to that would be election victories. But he lost his own election in Plateau State in the last governorship election cycle for 2023. And, you know, coupled with what is interpreted to be his calm, maybe even malleable mien, do you believe that you've got a strong character, you know, to steer the ship and even guide it to the destination of election victories that you are, you know, resolved to get?
The new national chairman is an intellectual. I think we should know that. He's a civil person, but very strong, determined, experienced, and a strong politician from Plateau State. Is therefore someone who would not depend on what you call the normal way of doing politics through physical means. He's an intellectual, and therefore, when it comes to engaging at the political level, you are likely to see more of a scientific, more strategic engagement with the Nigerian people, with Nigerian politics. So you're not likely, and of course, if you because of his mien, his civil posture, his very civilized posture, underrate him, then you do so at your own peril. The new national chairman is a strong leader, is a strong person, and therefore will provide the leadership that the party needs for 2027.
It's a very interesting scene we're seeing play out, really. And a lot of people are watching to really understand what the APC is all about. And thankfully we have you, you know, the Progressives Institute, to help us understand the thinking behind the scenes. Because when the APC was formed, you know, you hear progressive and you think, oh, this is liberal in that sense. And then you had President Muhammadu Buhari, who seemed very socialist in nature. And a lot of people are thinking, we hear progressives, then we see Buhari, what is going on? 8 years, we saw the holdback on subsidy removal, a lot of protection of the poor, and some of them still being probed by this government, I should say. Anyway, and then President Bola Tinubu comes in, and yeah, there's that neoliberal sense. And I mean, first he went for a Muslim vice presidential candidate. Then we saw the national chairman also was Muslim. I mean, the Senate president was almost going to go to the north as well, but thankfully that's sort of balanced. But even the Speaker of the House of Reps is Muslim from the north as well. So a lot of people wonder, what does this progressive really mean? Is there a way we can really put our finger on the ideology of the APC, first in terms of uniting the country, because I think that should be at the heart of progressivism in that sense. Secondly, the economy, the approach to economy. So what is the thinking, really, since you are the head of the think tank?
See, let me start from the ideology. One of the major things being discussed in the party at the moment, if you listen to the president yesterday, was talking about the issue of ideology. We are at the moment discussing within the party evolving a clear-cut ideology for the party. Now, what that means is this. We all know what progressive ideology means, but we need to articulate that and agree, because progressive ideology is universal. It is people-focused. But what brand of progressivism are we implementing in Nigeria? So at the moment, the party has started a process of establishing a standing committee involving party leaders, intellectuals, journalists, to develop an ideological framework for the party. That's number one. Number two, that will be discussed at a bigger forum where leaders of the party across the entire country, journalists, the intelligentsia will be discussing that document. That document will go through the entire processes of approval in the party, from National Working Committee to NEC to convention. And once that is done, it becomes what you could call the Bible of, for us to develop a curriculum to train party leaders party aspirants, party ideologues. So that when you're talking about progressive ideology, you're talking about its framework for governance, framework for leadership at all levels. And it gives us identity. We talk about progressive ideology, whether you are in Sokoto or you are in Kuala Moda, you are in Lagos or Owerri, you'll be talking about the same thing. And it also provides a framework for governance, which, of course, if you're a governor of the APC, you should be implementing certain programs that are progressive in nature. So in a way, while we agree that progressive ideology has to do with the people, has to do with providing social needs of the people, the framework for governance that will reach the grassroots, but we still, as a party, are evolving the framework to ensure that that is clearly understood by all members of the party, as well as leaders of the party. And of course, once you are a governor, or you are chairman, or you are president, you'll be governed by that ideological framework agreed to by all the party leaders. And this is unique. Unique in the country in the sense that there has not been any party before now and now up till now that has evolved that process of an ideological framework. So what the APC is doing under the leadership of the president is to ensure that there is ownership, there is consensus in the party as to what we should be regarding or referring to as ideology of the progressive ideology of the party. But in a nutshell, in a simple way, progressive ideology means pro-people, pro-development, and development in terms of activities. And of course, more importantly, taking care of the people's needs. And that governance should be about the people, while, of course, you also want to grow the economy. You see, it's not like the typical socialist kind of ideology. It means, what it means that you must grow the economy first before you begin to talk about providing for needs.
Dr.
That's what the president has done.
Dr. Adebayo, just quickly, as a follow-up quickly, because the president spoke to the governors and said you need to wet the grassroots more. So does that mean that that ideology, first, you say it's not really established as a Bible yet, but does it also mean that the governors are not buying into it? Because if that is the ideology, then the president shouldn't be reminding them time and again. This is not the first time he's had to say that, by the way.
See, don't forget one thing. See, there has been a tradition of governance in the country before now. We are operating the federal structure. And up till now, and let me say this, I'd like to actually commend your team, because for the first time, you're talking about governance involving the states and local government. Up till now, or before now, there was a focus only on federal government. And that has been the tradition. What the APC is trying to do is, and is doing now, is to ensure that there is a framework. Of course, there's consensus that we must be pro-people. But if you look at all the states, whether APC or PDP or WAPGA, they are operating almost in a similar kind of framework. The president is saying we should do things differently. That is why the entire focus is on a new ideology for the party. Not really new, but articulating our ideology as a party to ensure that people, leaders, whether you are local government chairman, you are governor, you are guided by a strict compliance, by a commitment to the ideology of the APC. So in a way, what we are doing, therefore, is to recalibrate and reinvent ourselves to ensure that our ideology provides the basis for governance at all levels of our leadership.
All right, Dr. Adebayo.
I think one of the things you should take from the president,
Dr. Adebayo, if I may come in, just a moment.
Yes.
Okay, my apologies. Brilliant submissions you made, but a few things I want to highlight. First, we speak about all levels of government, whether it's federal, state, and local government. We hold them to account because they are all people that are accountable for our commonwealth. We pay taxes, we make contributions, so we hold everybody to account. I wanted to put that on the record. And then I've listened to you.
No,
just a moment, so that I can answer all of it at the same time. Yeah. And then I've also listened to you to talk about progressive ideology, but there's no clarity. I will tell you why. There's no clarity. So let's use the basic comprehensible one. Economic ideology. Muhammadu Buhari, welfarist, more of left of center. Bola Tinubu, our president now, neoliberal, more of right of center. Clearly, divergent positions, same political party. Then we can go on and on and on. I could talk about the social element, I could talk about the political element. So, because if we sit down the PDP now, they'll say it's in the interest of the people, but how? So we need you to be very clear as a think tank in the clear, let's use economic direction. What will be and what is being worked on as the economic ideology of the APC in terms of their approach? Is it a hybrid of the neoliberal and the welfarist, or somewhere left or right? Let's begin with that first off. You can also answer the first question you wanted to respond to.
You see, like I said, I wish to commend you for the focus on the federal nature of governance in the country. I'm a journalist, and I've had on several occasions to complain about the focus only on the federal government when it comes to governance. And I think now that the media are paying attention to governance at all levels, and that is why I'm commending you for that. So I also agree that there has been that mistake in the past where focus was only on federal government. Now we need to pay more focus on the state and local government. More so, the last 2 years, states and local government have received a lot more in terms of resources, and therefore there is need for us to pay attention to what is happening at that level. Don't forget also, the federal government is everywhere. The job of the president is to enhance revenue base for the country and ensure that states and local government are empowered. And that has been done. At the moment, states and local government are receiving over 70% of allocation to at federal level. And the president, in fact, as a person, is committed to giving more to the states. So there's a need for us to pay attention on that. Now, the other point you're talking about ideology, the party is discussing within itself a very serious process of clearly defining what it means in every area of the economy, the economy, governance, and other aspects of administration. So I believe that by the time the party concludes the process of developing its ideology in a very clear form, in an unprecedented manner of ownership and consultation and consensus building, you're likely to get a clearer perspective. Let me not jump the gun, because we have started the process. Let the leadership of the party, let the members of the intelligence and the media, of course, be involved in that process. I believe in the next couple of months, the party will clearly define what, in all ramifications, what it means as a progressive party.
All right, so I want to believe. So I'm happy that someone like you is in the room. So bring in the value we hear you bring on the table. But if we are to extrapolate into the future and this framework is put together, adopted as a direction in terms of whether economic, political, governance, all of the forms of ideology, whichever direction of the left or right, are we going to see a future where even if the APC loses elections someday, we're not going to see defection because they held on to an ideology? Is that your hope? Or this is just mere academic exercise?
You see, movement of politicians from one political party to another party is not a peculiarly Nigerian issue. If you've been following the US politics, people have been defecting from Republican Party to other party, from Democrat to other party. So it's not a peculiarly Nigerian problem. But so therefore, one cannot say whether people will be constrained to move from one party to the other. Of course, people are at liberty to change their views or their commitment to a particular ideology. Having said that, having a strong ideological base helps in terms of promoting conviction. Don't forget also, I said, we're going to have a curriculum, training curriculum that will be based on that ideological framework, which will form the basis of training of party leaders, of both elected and appointed leaders. So in a way, an ideological base, a strong one, helps to provide clear focus and identity that will make people less likely to want to shift base when there are challenges in terms of losing election. But I believe that even now, you could observe that a lot of people are gravitating towards APC. Not necessarily because APC is in government, but because they believe that APC is well organized, APC has a strong leadership. And the election of the new chairman yesterday, in a very peaceful atmosphere. In fact, the resignation of the former national chairman, Dr. Ganduje, and the acting of a chairman of Alaji Dalori, now election of a new leadership, tells you that a consistent pattern. There is a consensus that party must be cohesive, must be well organized and disciplined. So APC, therefore, is laying the foundation, a strong one, for that cohesiveness, for that ownership, and for the involvement of the people, members of the party, in its governance process. So, therefore, we are very optimistic that there will be less likelihood of people shifting base when things are not positive.
Well, fair enough, and I'm glad you acknowledged earlier on that the direction of the ideology is still, you know, in the works. And we hope that there'll be a uniformity, not just in the direction of the ideology at the federal level, but also at the state level as well, such that we see that the subnationals are implementing the party's ideology in line with what the federal government is doing. And we'll not then see the gains, whether indeed it is best suited for our own type of politicking. But let's go to, speaking of politics now, let's go to the comment made by Mr. President yesterday at the NEC meeting, where he said that more defections are coming. And President Tinubu was quite categorical. He, in fact, extended that comment to say that the Congresses should be accommodated up until December. Now, does this fuel suggestions prior to this time that the disaffection in the other political parties was the handiwork of the APC-led government through coercion? Are we to see more defections of governors in the coming days to the All Progressives Congress?
But you see, one of the things people tend to ignore is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the first thorough politician who has emerged as our president. He didn't emerge through accident or an accident. He has worked on this for years. He has invested a lot of resources, personal one, in developing and networking in Nigerian politics. He's one of the few Nigerian leaders who has built network across the country. So therefore, if people are moving towards him, it's not because he's president now. It's a payback in terms of relationship. And if you study his trajectory, political trajectory, what you would understand is the fact that he has invested in building people. He has invested in building friendship across the country. What you are seeing, therefore, is a return on investment that he has made in the last 10, 20 years. So, in effect, APC is not in any way undermining any opposition party. APC is attractive to them because APC is cohesive. The president is giving leadership, is bold, is a statesman, is taking policy measures that others in the past had refused to or were even afraid to implement. Let me give you an example. Some years ago, we campaigned on removal of subsidy. It was, I'm sure if you remember, it was a national campaign. At the end, federal government could not do it because they were afraid. And up till the time he became president, there was a fear of the economic consequence of taking that bold decision. He did. That is why today states are having more resources to implement their programs, their policy programs, and therefore, what we are seeing is not in any way anyone undermining any opposition party. The fact is that some of the opposition parties are not well organized, right, and therefore people are not attracted to remain them in those parties. This, according to some, is being interpreted as, you know, an unabashed,
steering of Nigeria into becoming a one-party state, because the figures now currently look like 23 APC governors to, just a few for the PDP and the rest of them. But we must thank you at this point and anchor the conversation here, and we look forward to another opportunity for this engagement with you. We've been talking with Mr. Lanre Adebayo. He's the Director General of the Progressive Institute for the All Progressives Congress, and he has joined us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for coming through on this one.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
And there's more to come on the program as we look forward to the Super Falcons' final match with Morocco in the ongoing WAFCON tournament. We'll take a moment now. When we return, we'll have Mr. Shehu Diko join us to talk to us about that. Stay with us.
Perhaps the man who will first touch the trophy when it comes to Nigeria, upon touchdown in Nigeria, is the chairman of the National Sports Commission, Mr. Shehu Diko, joins us virtually this morning. Mr. Diko, good morning. Are you already mentally preparing for the moment that cup arrives? Is that something you're already preparing for?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay, can you come again? I missed your question.
It's just on the side question. Are you mentally preparing for the moment that cup will arrive Nigeria? Is that something you're already envisioning?
Well, of course, from the beginning, ourselves and the Nigerian Football Federation, we set out the target. It's called Mission X, which means we are working to get the 10th tattoo. That it's a new trophy. This is the first time this trophy is being competed. CAF have changed the trophy, a very beautiful trophy. And so we are all working and pushing to see that the girls are able to deliver and get the trophy. And thank God we're in the finals. So once you're in the final, yes, definitely. And the girls are very, very focused. It's been a very, very long time we see the girls this kind of focus, have this kind of focus and direction in their own quest for the tournament. No distractions, no issues, just trying to get the job done. And so we are all excited. And everybody is already preparing to see how what will happen and how we'll receive them, definitely, inshallah, if they get the cup back to Nigeria.
We're all looking forward to it. In fact, wearing a T-shirt, in support of the Super Falcons, right? But
yeah,
there were questions. Exactly. There were questions, though, about the payment of allowances and the rest. Because we talk about distraction, and there's been that narrative, and it's not just football. Sports, a lot of times in Nigeria, you hear that allowances have not been paid. This one is still, outstanding. And it really leaves a very bad narrative for sports, particularly people who have sacrificed a lot just to represent Nigeria at the very top level. Is that the case now? Because I understand that their allowances have been approved and all of that. What is the situation with that?
Yeah, of course, definitely that is not the case at this moment. And since the coming of the National Sports Commission, the idea is to be more professional and to bring people that understand the game. So we've been working to make sure that these things don't happen. The last time the Super Eagles, we deal with all the allowances, the last matches without any issues. And this one too as well. As I tell you, as of today, the entire allowances and bonuses for the matches that they have already won, and even the one they're going to play tomorrow, have already been approved by the president and has been paid. Has been released the Nigerian Football Federation, and with a clear instruction that they should try everything possible to make sure the girls receive their money. Let us close the business today. Except if the girls say they don't bother about that, they can take it after the games. But at least they know that the money is in the account. It's at the CBN account of the National Football Federation, of the Nigeria Football Federation. So it's just disbursement. And the Federation have already sent whatever it is needed for the CBN to start disbursing. But the issue now is with the girls. Some will want to collect dollars because they are living abroad. Some want to collect naira. So those with naira, is easy to get it immediately. Those with dollars, there has to be a conversion with the CBN to get it done. But at least the girls are sure that is done. And from the beginning, we promised them that this is going to happen. So they never bothered. This is the first time in a very long time there were this kind of tournament, and there is nobody talking about money, talking about this. Remember the bad experiences we had before when they won the trophy and they came back. They have to lock themselves in the hotel to get the money and some other time. But people need to understand it. These monies are never delayed deliberately, even in those days. It's because of the processes of government and releasing the money and stuff like that. So what we did this time around, because we know the problem, we know the issues, is to make sure that we put this money under the appropriations. So these monies for the girls, for some other matches are already appropriated. They're already in the budget. So the first thing is to see how the money can be released. And we put a notice to the Minister of Finance as far back as March to give a notice that this tournament is coming, so we need to get this ready. So everything was being done ahead because that is the way to go about it. You don't have to wait until after the tournament and you start writing to the president, asking for intervention, funding and stuff like that before the money is paid. So definitely, as at this moment, there's no issue with that. Everything's sorted. The only focus is get the cup tomorrow. And even the bonuses for tomorrow's match have already been paid. So all good.
We're happy to hear that this is sorted, but maybe we'd like to know how much are these bonuses in the first place. The reason we're asking is because there's this, in terms of parity between the men and the women, there's always been that argument because if you look at the scorecard, if we're talking about results, the women have given us a lot more results, whether it's WAFCON or AFCON, but the monies are not mates. So how much is this money, and is there a plan to improve this money on this amount being paid?
Well, this thing is about comparative advantage. We need to be clear about it. It's about marketability. It's about the revenues coming in. For example, women, as you said, have always come through for Nigeria. Women have always get us the laurels and save us embarrassment at the international tournaments or Olympics and stuff like that. So they're very dear to us. Even before the Falcons should be sorted, as earlier as this Tuesday, myself and my Director General, we met with the Tigers, the basketball team. They are also starting their own African Afro basket today on Trinidad, and we want them to win. So we sat down with them, discussed, and agree and improve the even bonuses for them. But in this context, you have to look at it. If the male, for example, the male tournament, the prize body is like $7-10 million, for example, if you win. The female, it's about $1 million, $1.5 million, or thereabouts. So it's always that parity, but at least our female are getting decent bonuses that they deserve, that they earn. And these bonuses are based on the matches. For example, they will say 3,000 for the first round, or 4,000 for the quarterfinal, 5,000, for example, for the semi-final, 6,000 for the final. So and these are dollars. So you look at that. So that is how the bonuses are progressively agreed. And then there's also the daily allowances where they get pocket money to keep income and stuff like that. So at least it's a very, very decent bonuses. And if you look at Africa, we are among the highest. Our Falcons are among the highest paid.
You didn't put a figure to it, Mr. Diko.
I'm just telling you the figures.
How much? Maybe I missed it.
No, I missed it. Maybe the way I'm speaking. I said it's progressive bonuses. For the first round matches, it's about $3,000 per match. For the quarterfinal is 4,000. For the semi-final, it's 5,000. For the final, it's 6,000.
Oh, I see.
That is how it goes. And they have like I think $200 daily for the daily allowances or thereabout.
Thank you very much.
And then, the coaches also get higher than that, twice than that. The officials. No, it's all dependent on the mathematics, And it's not just the players. You have to pay the players, the 24 players. You have to pay the coaches who are about 12. What they are about. You have to pay the team administrators who are the doctors and everybody around the team. So everybody around the team get the bonuses based on certain criteria.
All right, Mr. Diko, we have to thank you. I know that for the AFCON, the men last time got $7 million. That's the winners. For this time, WAFCON will get $1 million. So, I mean, look at that. But again, this is a developing conversation. We're glad we're able to have it. Your prediction quickly before we go. 5-0. What's your prediction?
Well, I can't. We just want to win the cup. It's going to be a tough match. We are playing the host.
All right.
In their own country. They're going to be full stadium with their supporters, but our girls are up to it. So
there you go.
No matter, even the last time, remember, we are playing 9 against 11, the last AFCON in Morocco. They have to defeat us via penalties. So now I believe our girls, with the motivation they are having, with the confidence they are building, imagine the First Lady sending a video to them. Imagine all the female ministers doing videos to support them throughout the tournament. Even the British High Commission did the video to support the girls.
Right.
So they are they believe they are very cherished. They are so we believe we are going to win the match. No harm, no harm. I don't want to predict any scores. What I just need is we're going to win the match, inshallah.
All right. That's fair enough.
And then we can take it from there. By today, tomorrow, I think the delegation of the federal government will be heading there. I don't want them to go earlier. Yeah. So that we don't distract them.
That's very important.
Focus on the game. After the game, everybody can go and see them after we get the cup. Not to go and start distracting them before they play the match.
All right.
So
that's very thoughtful, Mr. Diko.
I think tomorrow for the game to support the girls and inspire them to win the trophy. So definitely, my own is just a win for Nigeria. That's my prediction.
Well, we'll take that. A win is a win any day. We have to thank you so much, Mr. Shehu Diko, the chairman of the National Sports Commission. Thank you for your time and for the work, and wish Nigeria and the Falcons the very best.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So, yeah, the Tigers are going for the 5th. The Falcons are going for the 10th. Hello to the Super Eagles and the D-Tigers. So we'll take a moment now, and when we return, I will talk about the court orders that seem a bit confusing, really. It says one thing, but interpretation is different. We have a lawmaker who raised a motion on the floor of the House about this joining us now. Just stay with us.
Welcome back. And so on this particular one, we're focusing on that big annoying concern about different interpretations to court judgments, particularly as it impacts on our jurisprudence. And so it's even, traversing beyond matters of election dispute to other matters now. When you consider, the matter between the senator representing Kogi Central and the leadership of the Senate. So the lawmaker at the Green Chamber who raised the motion urging the judiciary to intervene joins us on the program now. He is Honorable Clement Jimbo Minks. He's representing Abak Etim Ekpo Ika Federal Constituency, and he joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Honorable Jimbo, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, Channels Television, and good morning, Nigerians.
And so, if you listen to the conversations, trailing this, some would say that judges choose to speak in tongues, particularly under this particular republic. But that time was when judges were more affirmative and declarative in their judgments, leaving no room for ambiguity. So perhaps we could, in going forward, maybe we should understand where we're coming from. When did this particular, period of ambiguity in judgments of courts, particularly on election matters and even expanding beyond that space. Now, when did it begin? And what are the scenarios that have impacted on this era of ambiguity in court judgments?
Thank you very much. I like the way you put it, that our judges are speaking in tongues. And even if they speak in tongues, there should be interpretation of tongues. I'm a Christian. When a prophecy comes and somebody speaks in tongues, the Holy Spirit equally gives utterance for interpretation for many congregants, or the congregants, to understand what the tongues actually mean in order for them to say amen to the prophecies. But over time, we have observed a pattern of uncertainties in judgments that emanate from our courts that leads to so many political and legal institutional uncertainties. And it ought not to be so. I will always say that judgments from our courts are not the exclusive rights of lawyers, but in a situation where even lawyers are different, are seeing it differently, interpreting it differently from the same document called judgment from our judges, what more is left for millions of us, the common man? It leaves more to be desired. So, yes, of course, on the floor of the plenary, it wasn't really a motion, it was an observation backed by Order 8, House Rule Order 8, Order 8 Rule 6, that gives every member of the House of Representatives the right to stand up and air what he or she considers as personal explanation on certain topical and national issues as it affects him or her. So when I was driving into the National Assembly on that fateful day on Tuesday, I observed that it was an unusual scenario within the vicinity of the National Assembly, and I had to pause and ask a question. Somebody told me that the judge gave a judgment that the suspended Senator Natasha should resume to the National Assembly, to the Senate, to be very precise. I said, wait a minute. It means a judgment was given and the Senate is barring the senator from resuming? Obviously, when I heard that from that very person, I knew very clearly that the judgment that the court gave was not clear, was ambiguous. Because the Senate, on this other hand, is equally leveraging on the same content of that very judgment to tell suspended Senator Natasha that there is nothing in this judgment that gives them the right to recall you from the suspension. And the question I ask is, why should our judges give conflicting judgment? And it is not just in this very case of Natasha versus the Senate. If you Google and go through history, even among political parties in Nigeria, you will observe and see a pattern of judgment emanating from our court that are very, very conflicting. A court of judicial jurisdiction, yes, you will see that a high court, for example, in Abuja, will give a different judgment. Another high court, maybe in Akwa Ibom State, will give a different judgment on the very subject matter, throwing the entire population of Nigeria into serious confusion. And as a nation that is developing, we must be clear in judgment that comes from our court. It will amaze you to know that even when judgments are given, lawyers still require either the plaintiff or the defendant to come for a special session for them to interpret the court judgment. It ought not to be so. Judgment from our court should be legible. It should be very clear, without any form of ambiguity, so that any person on the side of the road can pick either the certified true copies of the judgment and read and understand. That was my position and is still my position. As a member of the parliament, I cannot sit aloof and watch our judiciary throw millions of Nigerians into this confusion that they are doing. It is not right.
All right. Honorable, is it a question of the problem with the judiciary here in terms of lack of clarity, or it is some level of lack of understanding, and even, I can even say, borderline mischief by maybe litigants and lawyers in interpreting the law itself? Because the argument, for instance, let's use the case law, the issue of Natasha Akpoti versus the Senate or otherwise, the argument is what constitutes a consequential order is against the opinion of the judge known as obiter dictum. Because according to Section 287, every judgment, whether it's from the Supreme Court and all the other appellate court down to the trial court and all of that, will have to be respected and honored by all parties across the federation. We even hear people saying recommendation is a judgment. We hear all kinds of things. So is this really a question? Because we have great lawyers, senior advocates, members of the inner bar, a fantastic law school, spending years to study all of these things, and then we're having this situation. So is it a question of ignorance, mischief, or is just the judges not being clear?
I think it is a mixture of all of what you have highlighted. I have equally wondered, as a human being, as a Nigerian, we have one law school in Nigeria, even though cited in different locations in the country. The textbooks used in teaching our law students are the same in Abuja, in Lagos, in Port Harcourt. They are the same textbooks, and our faculties of law in our different institutions are the same curriculum, are the one used in teaching our law students. So the question that always bothers my mind is, why should a judge of, let's say, the High Court, who has equally gone through the law school, graduated from the law faculty or the law department, went to the law school, called to bar, practice, read the same textbooks, will sit and give a judgment based on the facts of law, and that same judgment is appealed at the appellate court, and the judges at the appellate court will upturn that same judgment that the High Court judge gave. The question I will always ask, do the judges at the appellate courts read a different text, or they were taught by a different lecturers in their university days and in their law school days? I don't understand. My background is science. I studied science, and I know that 1 meter in Nigeria is 1 meter anywhere in the world. So I would not understand why in Nigerian context, the legal system, where 1 meter in the High Court is not equal to 1 meter in the appellate court. I think lawyers should really do better than this, and our judges should equally do better than this. We are not even going to talk about the implication of giving ambiguous judgment, what that leads to our nation, what that leads to business transaction, what that leads to even relationship among friends, among colleagues, amongst institutions, in our economy, what that does. It is so saddening that this is happening, and we seem not to lay emphasis to it.
And, well, you should know better about the meter bit, because you're a quantity surveyor, and I like that that analogy, bringing it into it. So I'm thinking now, what's the way forward? Because this is a major challenge, and it cuts across, really. Today, it's party issues. Well, yesterday, it's election matters. Today, it's party issues. Tomorrow, it's issues between lawmakers. The next, issues between business partners. And you can imagine the ripple effect on the society. So your recommendations as we wind down, what is the way forward? Is this a constitutional matter? Is this a strictly judicial matter that must be dealt with at the judiciary by the CJN all the way down? What is the way forward, if there is one for you?
Okay, thank you very much. And of course, when I raised the personal explanation on the floor of plenary, of course, by the rule of the House, the members are not supposed to be debated on. It's just for the presiding officer to rule. But the presiding officer in this case advised that I should bring it under a motion of urgent public importance. And unfortunately, at the resumed plenary, we had to go on a recess, for 8-week recess. So when we resume, this is going to be one of the very motions that will be tendered on the floor of plenary for a resolution of the National Assembly should be reached. And part of the recommendations that I will suggest to the Parliament is that the Constitutional Review Committee, in conjunction with the Committee on Judiciary, should come up with an ad hoc committee that will sit down and, in clear terms, review a particular section or relevant sections of our constitutions and our act and our laws to give very clear direction and mandate our judges on the template on which judgment should be written, should be given. And it should be devoid of any form of ambiguity, meaning that lawyers must not interpret the judgment differently. If the judgment says, Clement Jimbo, stand up and jump 30 kilometers up the sky, it is very clear that I should jump 30 kilometers up the sky and nothing more. That is going to be part of our recommendations.
That is as definitive as it can get. This has been, on every level, a very productive conversation. Of course, there are other levels to it as well, but we must anchor at this point. We've been talking with Honorable Clement Jimbo, representing Abak Etim Ekpo Ika Federal Constituency in Akwa Ibom State at the House of Representatives. Thank you so much for your time on this one.
It's my honor. Thank you.
And so from here, we'll exit politics and concerns in the judiciary to look at Nigeria as a global player and especially its relations with the European Union. Ambassador Gautier Mignon joins us next. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
We have joining us, as you can see, the EU ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Ambassador Gautier Mignon. He's right here with us in our Lagos studio. Good morning, Your Excellency. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Very pleased to be here.
It's very interesting. We share a lot in common at this point, really, because there's the WAFCON. That's our Women's Football Championship going on in Africa.
Absolutely.
And then you have the European Women's Championship also going on.
Exactly.
The final will be played on Sunday, Spain and England. Nigeria will be playing tomorrow, Nigeria and Morocco. So at least on that level, we share that in common.
Absolutely. And female football is amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you should see our Falcons when they play on Saturday. But more importantly, on a bigger scale, Nigeria is described as the heart of EU's relation with Africa. And that has been said time and again by different people. The EU has been on a strike, doing different things, talking malnutrition, support, even the creative industry. So for a lot of people who see the EU, and a lot of things come to mind, let's put it in proper perspective. First, what is in it, or what has been in it for that relationship? What has been in it for Nigeria, and what is in it for the EU as well, so we can properly contextualize the work you're doing, what Nigeria is gaining from it as well.
Well, for us, Africa, and Nigeria in particular, is a key partner in today's world. You know, we are trying to reinforce our partnerships globally, and the EU over the last few months has struck some new agreements or launched negotiation of new ones with countries from Far Asia, Indonesia, Vietnam, to Latin America, the Mercosur countries, also in Central Asia. And Africa also is also a big part of this endeavor. At the end of November, we will have a very important summit between the European Union and African Union leaders in Angola. And Nigeria is at the center of the African chessboard for us. And what we want is really now, and it's not a new endeavor, but we want really to turn this into reality, a partnership among equals. We want to leave, the donor to beneficiary relationship behind, and really have a partnership, because we need you as much as you need us, And it's true in particular for Nigeria, and we want to focus in particular on investments, on leveraging investments, accelerating investments for sustainable development through a global gateway strategy.
Fantastic. We had that conversation with you in May. This is July, and I imagine a lot has happened since then. I think you particularly travel a lot across Nigeria, so walk us through some of the key highlights of your work from May up until now, some sort of update, call it that.
Well, I've been traveling around 10 states, more or less, since I arrived last September in Nigeria and started my tenure. And what strikes me, the diversity of Nigeria and the diversity of situations also. Nigeria is a country with a great potential, with very dynamic sectors. Take the digital economy, for instance, in particular here in Lagos. It's amazing. And then you have regions where you have a mix of potential, like in the north, Kano, for instance, a very dynamic city. But you have also very strong needs, in particular humanitarian needs, not only in the north, actually, but for instance, nutrition situation right now, during the lean season is very worrying, particularly northwest and northeast, but not only. We can come back to this perhaps later. So we are trying to do both things. We are trying to harness this dynamism and working through a global gateway strategy on sectors like health, like to develop local manufacturing capacities, digital economy, transport, renewable energy, climate-smart agriculture, and at the same time also address needs in terms of education and humanitarian needs, like in nutrition in particular. So we are trying to adjust to these different realities of today's Nigeria.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I'm particularly impressed and happy about the new direction, so that Africa is not constantly looked at as a charity case, broadly speaking. And Nigeria, for instance, with a huge population, huge market, there's so many huge parts, but we have our challenges as well. So in specifics, when you are talking about reviewing these relations, what exactly are these relations in terms? Let's talk about trade, for instance. We know the volume of trade in oil and gas, in logistics, in services. They are broad areas, and there's a young population who are looking to explore, and now technology is on the table as well. So in specifics, what is the EU bringing in to say, okay, you have this, we have this, and this is what we can do together to scale in terms of our trade relations, in terms of our relations in general?
Well, the EU is Nigeria's first trade partner. 26% of Nigeria's foreign trade in 2024 was done with the EU. And we come first, China comes second with 14.5%, more or less. But we buy much more to Nigeria than we sell to Nigeria. Nigeria has a $10 billion surplus annually with the EU, more or less. But most of our trade, and most of Nigeria's foreign trade, is oil and gas. And even if we are the first non-oil and gas export market for Nigeria, we need to diversify much more. Also because we are selling refined products, petrol to Nigeria in particular, and with the development of Nigerian refinery capacities, this trend should decrease, in the coming years. So we need to diversify our trade. I think this is one of our important endeavors. And for this, we need to structure our relationship, because as a paradox, we don't have any agreement with Nigeria on trade and investment. We don't even have a dialogue. So this is the first step we are putting into place, is to have a structured dialogue where we can address issues, barriers, but also joint initiatives to try to foster our relationships in trade and investment. And again, we are trying also to bring more EU companies and articulate their investments with our cooperation offer. And this is what the global gateway strategy is about, trying to accelerate investments. And we do this through financial engineering, combining different types of instruments, grants, loans, guarantees. And we have our development banks, in particular, the European Investment Bank, and now we have another bank coming to Nigeria, opening offices here in Lagos very soon. It's the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, a very important player, more focused towards the private sector. So we have really now a very wide bouquet of financial offer, let's say, to support our partnership.
Yeah, and it's an interesting development. It just goes to show, we talked about the trade surplus with Nigeria, 10 billion is a healthy sum. So it shows Nigeria's trading potential and what exactly we have to offer in our relations with the European Union. And that's critical as well. But talk to us about, still on agreements, talk to us about the economic partnership agreement, which was not signed by the last administration due to concerns, I believe, that it would expose industries and small businesses to external pressures and competition. And some would say those concerns are valid. But what is the state of pursuit of that agreement for the Nigerian government to sign it? What's your advocacy and how are you approaching it to ensure that those concerns are assuaged?
Look, this is already, I would say, an old issue now, because this agreement was negotiated years ago, and we have taken note of Nigeria's position, and we are not pushing, insisting, to revive it. Absolutely, of course. If Nigeria changes its mind, we would be happy to reconsider. But we are trying to look at other alternatives, basically to try also to enhance investors' confidence and to come to Nigeria, because all companies, they have compliance rules at global level, and they need to be sure to be able to fulfill these rules when they come to invest in a country, and that's one of the things that we have to do with Nigeria to build this trust for investors. And also to make the business environment more conducive for investment by small and medium-sized enterprises from Europe. And I know that the federal government is very much into this, to try to improve the business environment for investors in Nigeria. But of course, it's an effort that needs constant endeavor and persistence over time. So this is also why dialogue is very important, because then you can, identify, detect where you have issues, trade barriers, barriers for investors, and remove them.
I know that you touched on it earlier on, and that's the malnutrition bit, particularly for northern states, and that is a huge concern, really, because it looks like the more you throw money at it, the more challenges we have with malnutrition. And I think recently you were speaking to about 37 million euros already provided by the EU for humanitarian assistance this year. And of course, considering additional support, you can talk about what is being done in Benue, Sokoto, and other states. But it looks like that challenge of malnutrition is still very much with us. So I wonder, from your own observation, what exactly is the challenge here? Again, there's another debate about food security, GMOs, and all of that. But what exactly is the challenge, particularly because this is in northern Nigeria, where a lot of food is produced?
Well, there is a short-term and a medium to long-term challenge. The medium to long-term challenge is to strengthen value chain in agriculture, and make sure that food is available and affordable for all Nigerians. And this is also something that we take into account through our global gateway strategy to try to help in this endeavor. But then there is the short-term challenge of saving lives, basically. Those who are right now suffering from severe acute malnutrition, and in particular children. According to all humanitarian partners in Nigeria, there are currently among 3.5 million children in severe acute malnutrition, in particular 2 million in northwest and northeast. And these need assistance, in particular through therapeutic food. And this assistance traditionally was given in a big part through humanitarian international assistance. And now with the withdrawal of some partners, particularly the US, there is a huge gap to be covered. Plus, the problem has also deteriorated because of the impact of climate change, of insecurity, well, several factors. So there is now a need for additional effort to cover these needs and ensure that the supply of therapeutic food is not disrupted in a few weeks' time.
And it has to be provided locally. It has to be provided by local players.
There are local producers of rapid use therapeutic food. For instance, in Kano, I visited the Nutri-K plant, which produces RUTF, as it is called, in Nigeria. But you also need to import some, for instance, therapeutic milk, which is what saves babies. When you see babies, like I saw in Sokoto last weekend with the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, who are not even able to eat themselves milk because they are too weak for that. The only thing that can save them is therapeutic milk. And then after a couple of days, you see they come back to life and they start drinking themselves again with appetite. And then, okay, you can change their diet and come back to a normal diet after some time. But the chain exists, the stabilization centers exist, they are overstretched, we need no more capacities also. But it's important to supply the therapeutic food necessary for these children.
Those are the great efforts. I would have loved to find out, the results so far. But in moving away slightly from that, I also want to talk about potential of our technology sector, which is for us one of the fastest way to catch up right now. We missed literally all of the revolution. Now we are present in this revolution, how involved we are. What in terms of collaboration is the EU doing to make sure that we have a seat on the table as far as the new revolution in terms of AI and all of this is concerned? Because some Nigerians now stay here and work for companies abroad and all of that. Scalability, expansion is my question.
Well, we have a great partnership with the Ministry of Communications and IT on various dimensions, on skills. For instance, we are supporting the 3 Million Technical Talents Initiative on digital public infrastructure, also with models inspiring in some of our EU member states like Finland or Estonia. And one of the biggest projects is to support the rollout of 90,000 kilometers of optic fiber, so that all of Nigeria is connected, and not only the most profitable areas, for private operators. So this is one of our flagship projects under the Global Gateway Strategy, and we see a great potential. We are also helping through digital transformation centers, young entrepreneurs to acquire skills and also develop their business, their startup. And we do this all over Nigeria. In Kano, for instance, we visited a very nice hub, Sapphire Hub, especially focusing on, was led by women and focusing on women entrepreneurs in the digital sector. So it's a vibrant sector, really. And Lagos is the biggest hub in Africa for that.
Ambassador, we could go on and on with this conversation. We've not even touched on the support for seats for women in the National Assembly. The tariff matter as well, because I see the EU is also giving the US some retaliatory tariffs, and there's Nigeria in that mix. But we have to anchor at this point, because we know that we'll have this conversation in the coming months and updates, as we always do. But we have to thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Maybe right, or after the summer. Or earlier, after the summer. I know you have quite a busy day, and we don't want to allow the Lagos traffic to hold you back. We've been speaking with the ambassador.
I wanted to find out why he's in Lagos, but since we don't have...
Well,
just 30 seconds.
In 20 seconds, I was at the Lagos Business School yesterday. I offer conference regularly in universities. And this morning we have also an event with the Guild of Editors about fight against disinformation, which is also a priority for us.
Oh, fantastic.
There you go. Once again, thank you so much, Ambassador Gautier Minio. Thank you for your time, and we hope that you enjoy a lot of food and time in Lagos.
Absolutely.
You're trying Amala, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm trying always Nigerian food. I had egg soup for breakfast this morning with boiled yam, and yeah.
You loved it?
Yeah, I like it very much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much to you.
And there you have it. There is a lot we can do together, and that's why we spotlight these issues, looking for partnerships, cooperations across board, because definitely Nigeria has a lot to offer. And of course, the world has a lot to offer Nigeria as well. But that's where we anchor at this point today. We're supporting our Super Falcons, as I have on my chest. So hopefully we bring that cup home well, after the match tomorrow. I'm Kayode Okikele.
Well, won't leave you without that news that came through yesterday about the demise of the wrestling champion, whom a lot of us grew up with, even though we didn't like the sport, but we couldn't, help but enjoy the excitement that he brought to our homes, back then, I believe in the 90s and beyond. Hogan died just yesterday. May his soul rest in peace. And we appreciate, the joy and the excitement that he brought into our homes during his heydays as a wrestling champion. There you have it, Hulk Hogan, 1953 to 2025.
Okay, absolutely. For the records, I was a Hulkamania. I love Hulk Hogan. He made me love wrestling. Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, all of the guys who brought up that theatrics and that performance. But we thank him for his service, for what he did to entertain us when our childhood was a bit more enjoyable, isn't it? We didn't have to contend with social media. We just had our VHS.
But I didn't like the sport for a second all the while, but his theatrics certainly brought some joy into our living rooms back then. Yeah.
Wait, am I allowed to speak? I
no,
mentioned my name.
You're close for the day.
So in honor of Hulk Hogan, I'm not going to rip my shirt, but I'm going to unzip it because we know him to always rip his shirt open. So this is me unzipping my shirt in honor of
So
Hulk
you should be doing like this.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of muscle, but thank you for the joy that you brought, for making us try some of those moves at home. We ended up being reprimanded for that, but it brought us a lot of joy. Thank you.
Indeed.
And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and for staying with us through the week. Enjoy your weekend. I'm Jeffrey Zama. Bye-bye.
Speaking of joy, our resolve is to bring you more of it same time next week through the week. Sunrise Daily is up next, by the way. I am Bukola Koka.